Okay, you can start.
Okay, so good morning. Well, actually, nope. Now we're afternoon. So good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Chris Chan. I'm the manager of travel training at Translink, and what I do is I teach persons with disabilities, seniors, and also newcomers how to use our transit system so that they could use it safely and confidently. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a quick workshop that will teach you how to get information, how to access our accessible conventional transit system, but also how to access our accessible transit network as well. So there are a number of programs there that can help customers with different abilities to use the system so that they can get to where they need to go. And we'll try to leave some time for questions afterwards. Now, but before we begin, we would like to do a land acknowledgement. So we would like to acknowledge that. Oh, before we begin, is everybody able to see the screen or no?
I can't see it because I put myself on gallery view, but maybe I'll
So
just log back in.
okay,
I'll log back in.
okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Linda. Can you see the screen?
I can see your screen.
Yeah,
Okay,
Chris, I can see everything clearly.
okay, so that's good. Okay, okay, we'll continue. Thank you so much, Linda.
Yeah, I'm going to skip out a little bit early, but I thought I'd see what's
Okay,
new.
no worries. All good. Okay, so we'll continue with the land acknowledgement. So, TransLink respects the Indigenous nations within Metro Vancouver and acknowledges all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people for their continued resilience, sustainable stewardship, and as active members of the community for generations to come. We would just like to thank those that came before us on the land who are currently on the land for taking care of it and sharing it with us so that we could live, learn, gather, and ride buses, SkyTrain, SeaBus, and Handy Dart like we do today. Now, so if you would like to get information about transit, it depends on it. Actually doesn't really matter if you have used transit all the time or do you use it occasionally. The best way to get information on our transit system is to go to our website www.translink.ca. Right on the website, as soon as you open it, right at the front, you will see this white rectangle right at the front, and this is what we call the trip planner. So with the trip planner, you could let us know where you're starting your trip and where you're ending your trip, and we will teach you how to get there. You can also find bus schedules on the website. So you could plan your trip and they will find out when the next bus are going to show up, or you could look at different times and they will show you. You could also go to our website to find news about our upcoming projects or some of the changes that are coming up on our transit system. So all that information will be there. There's also a section called alerts. So that would be there will be a little menu bar at the top of the web page, and the second last one from the right. So it's the second one from the right hand side is called alerts. If you click into it, basically is it will inform you everything that is going wrong or not to the plan for our transit system. So a lot of times, for example, if a bus route is being changed because of a construction, so it has to take a detour. Or, for example, for customers that need to use a mobility aid, when they need to access a SkyTrain station, they will need to either use an elevator or an escalator, as the platform is usually either above or below ground. But sometimes these escalator and elevators will be under maintenance or repairs. but what they will do is they will put it on the website and to teach you how to go around it. So they will offer options on how to maneuver around these barriers. Now, of course, if you have internet, you could just go to our website. But what if you don't have internet? If you don't have internet, you could call us just like before. There's a phone number, 604-953-3333. This is a good number to have on your cell phone, just in case, so that if you are on your trip, you are in the middle of your trip and you forgot what your next step is. You could give them a call and let them know I'm in the corner of this road and that road. How do I ride transit to where I need to go? You could also give us comments. So for example, if you are on a bus and the driver was really nice, they drove really well and helped you get to your destination, and you want to pay them a compliment, you could call them and let them know, I was on this bus today, the driver was really nice. Or you could give us suggestions. So for example, after this presentation, if you find me really boring, you could call them and tell them, Chris was really boring, can you tell him to be more funny? You could provide feedback like that as well. I'm not saying you should, but you can. This is also the number to call if you would like a printed copy of a bus schedule. So in the old days, you used to be able to go to a library to pick up bus schedules. They don't do that anymore. But on the other hand, if you want a printed copy, what you can do is you could either go online and print it yourself, or you could call us at the 604-953-3333 number and let them know which route you would like to be printed, and we can print it and send it to your house. And started last year, this phone number also have translation services for 300 plus different languages. So you can actually reach a customer service, a customer information clerk, and you can let them know which language you would like to speak in English, and they will find an interpreter for you. Now, but let's quickly walk through the trip planner. All you really have to do is tell us where you're starting your trip and where you want to go. If you have the address, you can give us your address. But let's say you don't have an address. So for example, you're going to a very popular place like a mall or something, but you don't really know the address, but that's okay. You could just give us the name of the location you would like to go. They will find the address and put it in for you. Once you do that, press Plan My Trip, and it will take you to another page which will give you different options on how to use transit to get to where you want to go. They will also have a map that kind of give you a rough idea of what your trip will look like. Let's say you like one of the trips. Click onto one of the options, and like a plane ticket, it will show you step by step on how to get there. From when do you start your trip? When do you leave the door? How far do you walk to get to where you need to go? Where's the bus stop? How many bus stops do you ride the bus for? Where do I transfer if I need to transfer? So they will have all that information right here. So this is good information to have either on your cell phone or printed, or if you really don't have any of those options, but you can find a phone on your way, you can always give us a call at 604-953-3333 to ask us, what is my next step? If you live in Metro Vancouver, we strongly recommend that you buy a compass card, because with a compass card, it makes sure you pay the right price and the cheapest price for every trip. There are different types of compass card. So for example, if you are between the age of 19 to 64, so you're an adult. If you're an adult, you could use a blue compass card. With a blue compass card, it's reloadable and it's cheaper than you using cash or using your debit or credit card. If you are between the age of 13 to 18 or 65 and older, so teenager or seniors, you can actually get an orange Compass card. An orange Compass card offer additional savings on top of the regular fare. But when you use the concession card, please bring a photo ID with you if possible, in case a transit police officer or transit security officer asks to check your fare and they would like to see your ID. Because just in case you look younger or look older, they might say you don't qualify for to use the concession card, and if they believe that you are doing it on purpose, they might actually give you a fare infraction ticket for $173. So it's good to not have to do that and actually have an ID to prove that, but I do qualify for to use the concession card. Now, some of you might say, but I never take transit. I don't want to have another card. I already have tons of cards in my wallet. If that's the case, that's okay. You could also pay cash on the system. When you pay cash on the system, you get one-time use Compass tickets at vending machine at a SkyTrain station or a C-Bus terminal. But if you're an adult, you do have to pay full price, so it's more expensive. You could also pay cash on a bus. But when you pay cash on a bus, they give you a bus ticket. And with a bus ticket, you will still enjoy the same transfer rights just like any other Compass tickets, except those transfer rights will only be limited to buses. So if you take a bus to a SkyTrain station and want to get into a SkyTrain, you will need to pay again. That's why it's recommended that if you live in Metro Vancouver, at some point you will use transit. So please get a Compass card to make sure you have money ready available to use to make sure you pay the lowest price. Now, let's talk about the zone system. The zone system is a little bit confusing, but basically how it works is we have divided our service area, which is the Metro Vancouver. We have divided into 3 sections, into 3 zones. On this map, there are 3 different colors. And the way it works is it's not really how far you went or how many areas you went to, but it's by how many areas or how many colors on this map you have touched. So for example, if you are in the city of Vancouver, the city of Vancouver is in zone 1 in the zone yellow. If you only travel in one zone and stay in city of Vancouver, no matter if you use buses, SkyTrain to go to where you need to go, you still pay one zone. That's the cheapest fare you can pay right now for transit. But as soon as you ride SkyTrain from one zone color to another zone color, so let's say from the city of Vancouver, you ride across Boundary Road into Burnaby to Patterson. Even if it's one station, because you have been in the yellow zone and the red zone, is a 2-zone fare because you have touched 2 zone colors. So that is a little bit more. Now, the interesting thing is, as long as you touch 2 colors, even if it's one station, you pay the same price for 2 fares as you would have if you went all the way from Burnaby and New Westminster, ride all the way to downtown Vancouver, and then take a C bus over to North Vancouver. The reason is Burnaby and New Westminster is in zone 2, and so is North Vancouver. North Vancouver and Burnaby is in the same zone. So you went from zone 2, the red zone, into Zone 1 riding SkyTrain into yellow, and then riding C bus from yellow but back to Zone 2, which is red. You still only have touched yellow and red. You have only touched two colors, and that's why you are still only paying two zones. So some of you will ask, when do I actually have to buy a 3-zone ticket? A 3-zone ticket is only needed when you ride SkyTrain from the city of Vancouver, ride through Burnaby and New Westminster into either Surrey or into Coquitlam. You would have to touch all 3 zones, Zone 1 in yellow, Zone 2 in red, and Zone 3 in green. That's the only time you will have to pay for a 3-zone ticket. Now, that was really complicated, but that's why it's very important if you can use a compass card. Please get a compass card, because the compass card will make sure that you have the right price and the cheapest price. Now, I see there's a comment in the chat. I found if you start at Burnaby Production Way, you can to Commercial Drive and get on SkyTrain and tap out at Metrotown. You are only charged for 1 zone, even though I went through 2 zones. So that's a very good point. But that only works if you did not go outside of the system. So at no point you did not tap your compass card to change onto a bus or to a SkyTrain. But if you tapped out at Commercial Broadway, which sometimes some people do, they would have charged you that price, because that told us that you went to Zone 1. Now, so on top of that, there are also additional ways to save money. So if you would like, you can actually travel all over Metro Vancouver with a cheaper fare if you travel after 6:30 p.m. Monday to Friday, or anytime during Saturday, Sunday, or public holidays. You can also find trips to only travel by buses. If you do any of these options and you can travel all over Metro Vancouver, you still only pay 1 zone in price. So for example, for any of you that would like to go to downtown Vancouver to go shopping, because they got a lot of nice shops down in downtown Vancouver, go on the weekends. It's cheaper. You only pay a 1 zone fare to ride transit to downtown Vancouver, and that will save you some money, so that could help you do your purchase, because things are pretty expensive downtown too. So there's also a comment that people with a disability can also apply for a red card. You pay once a year, not per trip. That's right. So there is a BC government bus pass. It is for mostly for people with disability and seniors that are receiving provincial assistance from the government. You have to qualify for provincial assistance from the provincial government before you can apply. So well, that's one thing to, but the benefit of that pass is that once you qualify for it, you pay once for the year, and then you get unlimited access to transit for the whole region. Now, so how much do I have to pay for transit if I don't have the BC government bus pass? It's still pretty affordable, especially if you qualify for concession fare. If you qualify for concession fare, it's $2.10 for 1 zone, $3.10 for 2 zones, and $4.25 for 3 zones. And for concession fare, you could actually buy a monthly pass for just under $60. And that will cover all 3 zones for the whole month. If you are an adult and you need to pay for the regular fare, is $2.55 for 1 zone if you have a Compass card, $3.75 for 2 zones, and $4.80 for 3 zones. And the monthly pass start at $100 all the way up to close to $200 for 3 zones. So there's significant savings if you qualified for the concession fare. We also want to point out that if you have anyone at home that is 12 and under, did you know that if you, as a fare holder, you can actually bring somebody 12 and younger with you and they travel for free? You can actually bring up to 5 young children with you to go on transit for free. But that's a lot of work to bring 5 children. So beware of that, but that's a possibility if you would like to do that. Now, when you purchase the ticket, it could be a Compass ticket, it could be a bus ticket, it could even be on your credit card. But as long as you purchase the ticket, it's actually good for 90 minutes of transfer. Now, what do we mean by 90 minutes of transfer? It means in 90 minutes, I could get on a bus, go on a SkyTrain, transfer onto a C bus. If I want, I could actually go on C bus, ride it back and forth several times. I could even ride buses, SkyTrain, and C bus to where I need to go, and I could actually come home on the same ticket. The key is, as long as I could get back on the last bus, last train, or the last C bus I need to go home before 90 minutes. As long as I could tap my Compass card on the bus or tap my Compass card at the SkyTrain gate, I could ride that vehicle back to where I need to go. Even if it's after 90 minutes on the same trip, as long as you tap your Compass card before 90 minutes onto that vehicle, you could stay on that vehicle and finish that trip. So the key is, remember, before 90 minutes, because what happens is if you get on another bus or train after 90 minutes, it start a new ticket. So you will have to pay again. So if you want to go back and forth on one trip, please make sure you have enough time to do that. But also, don't try to rush for one or to get home in one ticket and run after a bus or rush yourself, because that way accidents might happen. Make sure you have enough time and give yourself enough time for transfers and to wait for the buses. Now, if you have a cell phone, you could also use a cell phone to plan ahead so that you know when the bus is going to show up at your bus stop. Every bus stop have excuse me, every bus stop have a 5-digit bus stop number. It's in yellow. That's how you let us know where you are at. And what you can do is send us your bus stop number and the bus route you're looking for to the phone number 33333. Send it to 33333, and in the message, you let us know the bus stop number, a space, and then the bus route number. Few seconds later, after you send the message, it will reply telling you when the next two buses is going to show up at your bus stop. What they do is they use the GPS of the bus to figure out where the bus is and calculate approximately how long would it take for the bus to get to where you are. But please remember, if the message tell you the bus is showing up at 12:30, please don't show up at 12:30 because sometimes the bus comes in a little bit earlier. Always make sure you get to the bus stop before the bus gets there. So if they say 12:30, you should be at the bus stop by now. You should go there 5 minutes or even 10 minutes early, just so that you won't miss the bus. Our bus system in Metro Vancouver is actually very accessible. Our buses come with equipment to help customers with different needs to travel on our bus. But one thing I do want to point out, while all our buses are accessible, not all bus stops are accessible, because there are some bus stops that might be on a hill, or they might not have a curb that will allow for the mobility of the the ramps or the equipment to deploy safely. So it's important to note, if you need to use the ramp or need assistance to board, you need to go to find a bus stop that is accessible. But for our buses, all our buses come with ramps for mobility aids and wheelchairs. The front of our bus can also be lowered. They can be lowered, or they call it kneeling. So that way, for customers that have difficulty with steps, they don't have to climb that step. Now, if you are vocal, if you are more than comfortable with just saying out loud, you could just let the driver know, can you lower the ramp, please? Or can you lower the bus, please? But for those of us that are a little bit shy, or English is not our strongest language, we can also get a pink piece of paper and write the word lift ramp on it. You could use that as a communication aid. We actually encourage our customers, if you have common requests for assistance with the bus driver, you can actually make a cue card or a flash card with your request on it, so that you can actually just show it to the driver when you need to let them know what you need. That way you don't have to say it every single time. All our buses also come with priority seats area. With our big buses, it's usually at the front of the bus. Linda, do you have a question or a comment that you would like to share before I continue?
Chris, you might mention how you can tell if it's a wheelchair accessible stop, because it has a little picture of the wheelchair on the bus sign.
Yeah, so that's a good.
Have a little picture of a wheelchair, then it's not an accessible stop.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So Linda brought up, so how do you figure it out? So if you're at a bus stop, the bus stop will usually have a sign, even if it doesn't have a lot of information. If it has the International Disability logo, the wheelchair logo, that one is an accessible bus stop. If it doesn't have it, it is not an accessible bus stop. You can also sometimes find that information online. Google Map used to have that information. I don't know if it has it anymore. I think some do and some don't, depending on the area or the version you are using. Now, for the priority seats, like I said, on our regular bus, it is at the front. Priority seats give priority to seniors and persons with disability. We have also added pregnant ladies and also young children in strollers into the mix in the last few years. Now, but one thing I do want to remind everyone is that the priority seats give priorities to customers with different needs, but it is not reserved for customers with different needs. So when they are not in use, anyone can sit in those seats. But what we recommend is that if you are seated in one of those seats and you see someone that comes on the bus that might need the seat more than you do, please offer the seat to them. We would also like to point out that just because they might look like they don't have a disability, it doesn't mean that they don't have a disability. They could have an invisible disability that you cannot see. So if you approach a younger person in in a priority seat area, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are just sitting there because they really shouldn't be. It could be that they have a disability and they need to sit just like you. So don't assume, don't start having an argument. You can always approach and ask, can you offer me your seat? And if they say yes, great. If they say no, move on. There will be other people that are willing to offer their seat to you. We also want to point out that the priority seat area can be folded up. Once it's folded up, it allows for mobility aids and wheelchairs to park in that area. Every bus can accommodate 2 mobility aids, and the driver will help secure the forward-facing spot, and for the rear-facing, there is no securement. So a customer just back into the spot. But this is also a good time to talk about because a lot of seniors, they gravitate to the priority seats area. But what they don't realize is sometimes is if a mobility aid comes on, the driver might ask them to move and they might lose their seat. So it's recommended that if you don't need to sit in the priority seats, but you do need a seat, especially if you go on a long trip, if you can, pick one of the seats behind the priority seat section. That way you are guaranteed to have your seat for the whole trip. Now, we also got staff on our system to help customers. For example, depending on how long ago you took a bus before, some of you might actually remember in the old days, they tell us not to speak to the bus driver. When I was young, I remember I was given this book of all the rules to taking transit, and one of the rule was please don't talk to the driver. But in fact, nowadays, we actually recommend that if you have a question, please don't hesitate to talk to the driver. If you need assistance or need to ask direction, please speak to the driver. Now, we recommend that you try to speak to them when the bus is not in motion. So for example, when the bus is stopped at a bus stop or when a bus is stopped at an intersection. But even if the bus is moving, if you are just asking for a quick question or asking for assistance, just to let them know, you can do that. Just don't have long conversation with them. Safety is sometimes a concern. So a lot of people will ask me, is transit actually safe? And I will tell you, yes, transit is safe. We have different teams on our system to make sure our transit system is safe. But I also understand safety is also a feeling. you have to feel safe. So what we have done at TransLink is that we have increased the presence of our staff on SkyTrain, SeaBus, and overall on the transit system. We have also have transit security. Transit security are usually on the bus system. They sometimes come on the bus and they sometimes will ask, "Can I see your ticket, please?" Do a fare check. If you have the ticket, show it to them. That's no problem. But if you need assistance, you could also ask them for assistance. A lot of people actually didn't know this. If you ride buses after 9 p.m. at night, you can actually ask a bus driver to stop anywhere along the bus route to let you off the bus. Now, there are some criteria. It has to be a regular bus route. It has to be somewhere safe. So it has to have a sidewalk. It has to have good lighting. You can ask the driver to stop between two bus stops. Let's say your house is right in the middle. You can let them know, my house is just in front. Can you stop in front of my house? And if it's safe to do so, the driver can let you off the bus right in front of your house after 9 p.m. On SkyTrain, we also got SkyTrain attendant. They can provide assistance. On SeaBus, we have SeaBus crew. We also have a team called Transit Police. And on top of Transit Police, we actually have a new group that has been formed that's called the Community Safety Liaison. So these officers, they are trained to assist customers with addictions and also mental illness. So they can actually provide extra assistance if needed. But basically, if you are on the transit system and you need assistance, anytime if you see somebody with a Translink logo or a big blue T on their shoulder, they can help you on the system. If you go through a SkyTrain gate, you will need to have a compass product. You will need a compass product, and you tap on the right-hand side of the gate. There will be a blue circle there you could tap your compass card on. If you're going through a gate, sometimes there will be a reader on the right and a reader on the left. If you tap on the right-hand side, the gate in front of you will open and you can go in. And there is no rush to go into the gate. Until you go through and break all the sensors, the gate won't close. But if you tap on the left-hand side, you will notice that the gate in front of you does not open, but instead open the gate next door. So at that point, you might actually be stuck. But that's okay because your ticket is good for 90 minutes of transfer. So if you would like, just back out of the gate for a little bit and you could retry tapping into the gate a minute or two later. Now, we kind of talked about if you're at the SkyTrain station, you could get help from a SkyTrain attendant. But what if I can't find a SkyTrain attendant? If you can't find a SkyTrain attendant, you could also get help. For example, if you just need direction or you have a question that you would like to ask, all our station at the front entrance, there is a phone nearby. It is a black phone hung on the wall. You could pick up the black phone and that will connect you to the 604-953-3333 number. That way you can ask your question or give us your comment and you could get the help you need. But what it will not do is that it will not get you somebody to come to your location to help you right away. If you need to do that, please go to one of our safety and security panels. On Canada Line, it's beige color. on Expo and Millennium Line is yellow color. They will both have one thing in common. They will both have a yellow door, a little door with a handle on it. Once you open the door, inside there is a phone. It's a red phone. The red phone is an emergency help phone. You pick up the phone, you let the team know what you need, and they will send help to you on that location. Even if you're not using the phone, if you are waiting for the train on your own, this is possibly the best location to wait for the train, because at every station, the area in front of the safety and security panel is always the brightest because they have the most lighting, and there's a camera pointed right at the safety and security panel. If you open the door, as soon as you open the door, an alarm goes off in our control room, and our staff can see what is happening because it turns on the camera that is pointed at the panel and put it on the big screen of our control room. That way, even if you can't talk, if you see trouble from far away, you could just lift the door, and that will send help signal to our control room, and they will send help to you. But what about if I'm on a SkyTrain? If I'm on a SkyTrain, there are also ways to get help. For example, there is a speakerphone by the door. You could press the red button and you could speak to someone, but the whole train can hear you. So if you're calling the police, that might not be the best thing to use. If you need to call the police when nobody is paying attention to you, press the yellow bar on the window. Every window has a yellow bar. Press the yellow bar, no sound inside the train, but it triggers an alarm for our system. It's a silent alarm. That way, our team at the control room, they will know which train has been activated and they will send help to that train. So that's the other way to get help inside a train car. You can also send a text message to the police if you have a cell phone. You can send help as a message to the phone number 877777. That's a good way to contact the transit police to let them know something is happening on the train or happening on the bus, and please come help. And how do you let them know which bus or train you're on? Every bus, every train has a vehicle number. If it's a bus, it's usually at the front near the driver. They are also available outside all around the bus and also all around the train too. Send us the number, so this way we know which vehicle you're on and we will locate the vehicle to come help you. Now let's quickly talk about our access transit system. So our access transit system comes with two programs. So there are a few misconceptions. A lot of people think that Handy Dart is for people that are seniors, 65 years or older. It has nothing to do with age. It has to do with whether you have a disability and need assistance to use regular transit. A lot of people also have a misconception that once I qualify for Handy Dart, I can access Taxi Savers. They are two different programs. The Handy Dart is the yellow bus that you see driving around, and that one is a door-to-door service. The Handy Cart program is a card that allows you to get assistance to use other modes of transportation, but it will not get you on Handy Dart. When you apply, you will need to get an application form. It's usually or get it online. And once you got the form, you will notice that there will be two boxes to check. One is for Handy Dart, one is for Handy Card. You could pick one or you could pick both. If you need Handy Dart, you don't need to send us a photo. Even if you get a Handy Card, you don't need to go to a Photoshop and pay money to get a photo done. All you have to do is send us a picture on your phone and we could crop it to make it look right. A lot of people also have the misconception that Handy Dart is just for me to take it to the doctors. But what it is if you have Handy Dart service, you could take it to your favorite restaurant. You could even take it to the Canucks games. You just can't stay for overtime because you have to pre-book your trip. In fact, you could take a Handy Dart from wherever you are at, and you could even connect to buses, SkyTrain, and SeaBus if you can do it. So for example, if your local bus stop is not accessible, you can actually get a Handy Dart to bring you to an accessible bus stop or even connect you with SkyTrain and SeaBus. That way you can access regular transit on your trip. So what exactly is Handy Dart? So Handy Dart is a door-to-door service that picks you up and drop you off where you need to go. It is a pre-book service, and when you pre-book, you have to be ready 15 minutes before and 15 minutes after your booking because that's the window when the Handy Dart might arrive. It's a 30-minute window, 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after. But please remember, with a Handy Dart, it is still public transit. Sometimes you will be sharing your ride with someone else. There might be other people on board. So please don't be surprised if you get on board and somebody else is there, and your trip might actually take longer because they have to drop somebody else off first or pick somebody else up along the way. So what about a handy card? A handy card is a card that is designed for customers with permanent disability, lives in Metro Vancouver, and need assistance to use regular transit. But what handy card allows you to do is if you have a handy card, no matter how old you are, you can use the concession fare, so cheaper fare. So if you have a permanent disability and lives in Metro Vancouver, please apply for a handy card. That way, you enjoy the cheaper fare for regular transit all the time. What it also allows you to do is to bring an attendant with you to travel, and they travel for free. You pay concession fare, and they travel for free to provide assistance to you. But we also want to remind our customers that an attendant has to be somebody 18 years of age and able-bodied. So they have to be able to provide assistance and help you in case of emergencies. What HandyCard will also allow you to do is to purchase what they call taxi savers. Taxi savers are basically half-price taxi tickets. Each month you could pay $50 and get $100 worth of taxi savers. But taxi savers are just half-price taxi tickets. But because taxi trips are still pretty expensive in Metro Vancouver, it is not designed for you to use on a day-to-day basis. Taxi savers are designed for users to use when Handy Dart is not available, when they have no other options, when they can use regular transit, they don't have somebody to pick them up or drop them off. That's the only time you will use a taxi savers. Now, that's all the topic we would like to cover. So hope everybody have learned something new today. But and if you would like to review some of the stuff we talked about, we actually have created a series of travel training videos online. You could go to Translink's YouTube site, and it's available in different languages. So you can check them out and review them at your own pace. And hopefully that will provide you some refresher about what we talked about today. And that's the end of our presentation. And we could open it up for questions or comments now. So if anybody have questions or comments, please raise your hands or put it in the chat, and we can try to answer some of those questions. Anyone? Okay, I don't think we have. Oh, I don't think we have any questions. So, Kausar, I will pass it back to you.
Okay, so it was a very nice presentation, lot of information. Thank you. And there is something in the chat.
Oh, let me have a look here.
Oh yeah, it's just like
Yeah. Okay, so yep, thank you very much. So hope everybody enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact the organizer at Connectra, and they can forward your questions to me. But if there's no additional question, I think we could give 5 minutes back to everybody and enjoy the rest of your day.
okay.
All right, thank you,
Thanks
everyone.
everyone. Bye.